What's going on YouTube? JT Born here, and welcome back to another edition to my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to talk about DC versus Vampires World War V Darkness and Light issue number 1. Not sure if there's going to be any follow-ups to this, but this is a basically like almost like a standalone one-shot within the second DC versus Vampires World War V series. This is a storyline focused on Wonder Woman, Alfred Pennyworth, Guy Gardner, and Harper Row. And in terms of just kind of more of a one-shot thing that does kind of add a little bit of layers to these particular characters, I thought this one was really, really good. So it's written by Matthew Rosenberg, both parts, so it's got two stories kind of rolled into one. Two different artists, one working on the first half and another working on the second half. So the first one is like darkness, and then, the second half is light. So basically, like, we see vampires coming in. Red X also exists in this, apparently, too. Wonder Woman finds Harper Row, and instead of kind of killing her, they kidnap her brother, and she's just like, you know what, I'm going to take this one. And she kind of turns her into a vampire because she wants to kind of have this sort of maternal bond with Harper, and she kind of starts to try and train her in the ways of a vampire, but Harper is very hesitant. She's really worried about her brother, and you see kind of the last layers of her humanity kind of sort of stripped away as she's kind of transformed over the course of the issue. Like, she sees what's happening with her brother. She's very concerned about it. She just wants him to be safe, and she sees kind of the fear in his eyes when he sees her. It even gets to the point where she doesn't really want to live anymore, and she even attempts to take her own life. And it gets some really dark, kind of messed up territories right here, and it is really sad. There is a point where she is confronted by, Damien and his vampire group. So this is obviously set before, he gets all his people around him get killed. This is a really dark, depressing storyline. I mean, DC's kind of had its depressing moments, but DC versus Vampires, this is a hopeless-ass storyline. And I'm like, man, there's got to be, like, a light at the end of the tunnel, because this is just getting, like, really downward depressing as the story goes on. But it's still, like, really good, captivating stuff. And then she finds her brother had died, and that just kind of breaks her. At one point, she does attempt to kind of take her own life by jumping into the sun, but Wonder Woman comes out to save her. And eventually, she's kind of, like, recovers a little bit. She views Wonder Woman as her mom, but then they run into Guy Gardner, and Guy Gardner kind of ends her life right in the moment there, and Wonder Woman has kind of a meltdown there. She gets, like, crazy and screams and everything, and just kind of rips him in half, and it's a pretty gruesome sight, and that seemingly is the end of Guy Gardner until we get to the second half of the story. But she's like, she's sorry, she's failed her child, and then she kind of just fades away, and that's the end of the first storyline. The second one is set in New York. Alfred is found, and he's nursed kind of back to health by this kid, and eventually comes to find out that Guy Gardner is still alive, but he's just kind of using the Green Lantern ring to kind of keep himself together and just kind of do his own weird, wacky stuff. And he kind of trains Alfred in the ways of the Green Lantern stuff. So the kid gets put into danger. Alfred comes in there and he rescues him. But then Wonder Woman shows up, and then Guy Gardner's there, and Wonder Woman's angry still at Guy for what he did to her daughter, basically. Harper Row, she kind of took her under her wings and basically adopted her. And then Alfred kind of wills enough Green Lantern willpower to kind of take Wonder Woman out of commission, but not quite kill her, because this is like a spinoff thing, and you think Guy is dead, but he's really just kind of alive. He's just like, okay, well, this is either going to work out or it's not. Let's get out of here before she wakes up. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell. Again, Matthew Rosenberg was the writer on this one. For the Darkness storyline, Nicola Cismezia is the artist there. Francesco Segala is the colorist. And then Daniel Bayliss is the artist on the second storyline, and Pierluigi Castiglione is the colorist on it. So I quite like this one. I actually like the first half a little bit more with Harper and Wonder Woman. I thought that one's really kind of like messed up, and like you kind of get in the feels kind of by the end of it. I mean, this storyline is just a really depressing one, and now I'm just kind of waiting, like, are things going to turn around at some point? I mean, DC versus Vampires, I'm like, stubbed my toe there as I'm recording this, but yeah, I'm waiting for this thing to just kind of, you have the darkness half. I'm waiting for kind of the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to DC versus Vampires, but this is a depressing apocalyptic world. There is no joy really left in this thing. Like, it just feels kind of hopeless at this point, but I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. This is an Elseworld, so, I kind of accept this for kind of what it is. But DC vs. Vampires continues to be pretty good, and I thought this one might have been my favorite little issue within the whole World War V segment. So, I mean, everyone's just kind of dealing with stuff in this thing, and this vampire war has just wiped out literally, like, everything left with humanity. I did think it was interesting how Wonder Woman does point out that, like, some people are able to kind of maintain a bit of that consciousness under being a vampire. Like, Harper Row is kind of one of them. Damien was too, but, like, like he still tried to like kill Harper, but then Wonder Woman showed up to kind of defend her. So I'm like wondering like what is it that like keeps some people there and others not. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, really good stuff here. I like the stuff with Alfred kind of really mastering the whole Green Lantern thing. I did not expect Guy Gardner to come back, despite the fact that he was just split in half in the first half of the issue. But he did, and he's still kicking somehow. So we'll see if he comes back in kind of like a later stuff in the main storyline. But in terms of like a side little spin-off storyline, kind of fleshing out Wonder Woman a little bit more, telling us what happened with Harper Row and Alfred, I thought this one was pretty good. So yeah, good artwork as well. Very, very cool, like awesome, gruesome moments kind of mixed in with this thing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. What did you think of it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all our fun stuff. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.